I brought charts and graphs, literally Excel spreadsheets of my cycles. Hi guys, I wanted to do another video to give you a little bit more details about my struggle with infertility and my miscarriages specifically, and also kind of go into what I did for treatment. In my other video I mentioned that we went ahead and we tried for almost a year and I got pregnant finally. I thought everything was great. I didn't sense that anything was wrong. I was just so excited to finally be pregnant. And I woke up about a week into thinking I was pregnant and I started bleeding. I immediately knew that that wasn't right, and so I got into my doctor, and they determined that I was miscarrying, and I was devastated. They say 20% of people have a miscarriage, and then it's really common, and it's not common for it to happen again. So I was still very hopeful. They told us we could just wait 1 month and then try again. So we went ahead, we waited a month, and we tried again. And I got pregnant again right away. First time we tried again. And that time I was a little more guarded. They did have me come in for blood work right away to see if my HCG numbers were doubling like they should. And they did go up my second draw, but not like they should. So I was kind of in limbo for a while. They had me come in and do an ultrasound and discovered that there was just an empty sac, and I was still worried at that point, thinking I'm having an ectopic pregnancy, I'm gonna lose a tube, or I'm gonna have to have surgery. I've never had surgery before other than dental work, and I was just beside myself. I kind of had a nervous breakdown in the ultrasound room. I didn't have my mom come in with me, and they had to go back and get her. It was a big ordeal. And then found out that I'd have to come back in a week. That, it may just be too early. I didn't think it was, but it may just be too early. You need to come back in a week and see if there is now fetal pole or yolk sac, all that. So went home and I started spotting later in that week before I came back from my the second ultrasound that following Monday. And I was actually a little bit relieved at that point because I knew what was going on. And I was just ready to know one way or the other. So I started fully bleeding the miscarriage on Sunday and went back on Monday, and they confirmed that yes, you had another miscarriage. And the OB I was with then, I'd been going to forever, but I usually just saw a nurse practitioner when I was in that office, and I just really didn't like the way she handled the situation. She just kind of brushed it off. It's like, oh, you've had such bad luck 2 times. And to me, it just seemed like there was more. Okay, you know, it happens once, yeah, that's common. It happens 2 times right in a row. I just didn't feel comfortable with her just brushing it off as bad luck. She even mentioned, well, maybe we could put you back on birth control for a while. And I was just like, no, I don't want to go back to that when I'm trying to get pregnant. So I ended up leaving that practice, and they did, before I left there, they went ahead and did some blood work to test for some common things that could be causing the recurrent miscarriage. They checked for some blood clotting disorders, and all of that came back fine. In the meantime, I decided to go ahead and make an appointment with an RE, and I had family and friends that had gone there and been very successful, and it's about 3 hours away from my home, so it was kind of a big deal to make that appointment and decide to go there. It wasn't just like running into town and going. So I contacted the new RE and made a consultation appointment for November. And when I went, my husband came with me, and we were both terrified. Like, I thought I was going to throw up in the parking lot before we went in. And I just thought they were going to tell me, you can never have a baby. That is literally what I thought they would say. Like, we can't help you. There's nothing we can do. Even though I know that there are all these other things that they can do. It's just something that I tend to think the worst, and I was thinking the worst again. So we go in, and it's awesome there. They're just phenomenal. So they wanted to do some additional blood work. So they went ahead and ordered for us to do that. They wanted to do some more clotting disorder blood work, and then they wanted to do some genetic kind of testing on both of us just to make sure it wasn't a genetic issue. So we got the orders for that, and then they also wanted to do an HSG, which is where they inject the dye into your uterus, and then they do an x-ray and see if the shape of your uterus is normal or if there are any abnormalities with your fallopian tubes, make sure they're open and not blocked. And so I had that done like a week after my first consultation. That was perfect. That was normal. That was the first time I'd ever had a procedure done in a hospital besides just blood work. So that was terrifying to me, and it was really uncomfortable. If you have to have an HSG, it's not horrible. It's not like you can't get through it, but it was some cramping and just really uncomfortable for a couple seconds, and then it was over. But it was still a big deal for me just to get in a hospital gown and go back by myself, and the whole 9 yards was just new for me. So that came back great. And we were waiting then on the blood panel that they had done, which was a little more extensive since we had my husband's blood drawn and mine, and then they did some more of the blood clotting disorder test. So we knew it was going to be a couple weeks. They told us 3 weeks probably to get those results back, and so we waited. And in the meantime, they had told us kind of our plan would be, if those came back normal, our plan would be to start some ovulation therapy. Because when I went in for my consultation, I brought charts and graphs. Literally. Excel spreadsheets of my cycles. I was that crazy. I did the temping, I did all of it. The fertility charts, I did the OPKs, I did everything. And so I won't say that it was all for nothing, because that data really did help my doctor determine that, okay, you are probably ovulating every month, but your cycles do tend to be a little bit on the longer side, which I thought they were still regular because, okay, they're 32, 36 days, sometimes 40 days, but I had a period very consistently. It was about every month. So I still thought, well, they're regular. But because of the longer cycles, and because from doing the OPKs and temping, I kind of determined that I was ovulating later in the month, he said that could be our problem. That could be it. Basically that when you ovulate late, it means that the egg is having trouble getting out. So that could be a hormone imbalance. It could be a number of different things, but for some reason the egg is not getting out like it should. So he said, yes, you probably are ovulating. Obviously you are ovulating because you've ovulated twice for sure because you've been pregnant twice, but that egg was not good quality. It didn't continue on like it was supposed to. I had low progesterone. I didn't mention that earlier, but I did have low progesterone every time that I miscarried too. And the second time they actually did give me progesterone for that week I was waiting for the second ultrasound, but they're like, this isn't going to fix it if there's a bigger problem. This is probably not the problem, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. So he kind of said, if you ovulate correctly from the get-go, your progesterone's going to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to get high and stay high and maintain the pregnancy until the placenta takes over. So I said, okay, that sounded like a reasonable explanation to me, but then I was still worried, like, what if the blood clotting stuff comes back? What if it's a genetic thing? And if it was a genetic thing, then we knew we were going to have to go straight to IVF, where they select the embryos that are good, if there are any, and they have to do the genetic testing on those. So the treatment that my doctor recommended and wanted to do for that ovulation problem was Clomid, which is a very common ovulation drug. It's just an oral medication, a pill, and he wanted me to take that for 5 days and then come in for an ultrasound on day 10, 11, or 12, just depending on scheduling, and they would determine if there were any follicles developing as they should, and if so, then they would tell me when to take my trigger shot, and then we would try timed intercourse. He said that we had the option of doing IUI, but he had a feeling that we would probably be just fine doing timed intercourse. So that's what we decided to do. So I had a 26-day cycle that month, did not have my results back. So I called them because I really didn't want to miss that month just because I started earlier. So we went ahead and called, and they're like, oh, we got your results back and everything came back great. Everything's fine. So I was relieved to hear that all of those issues were fine. And we decided, okay, I guess it's just this ovulation problem. Let's give it a go with Clomid. I started the pills, did fine with it. I had no side effects, really. We went in for our ultrasound on day 10, and I did my trigger shot on day 13, and we had intercourse on the days that they told us to, around then. And I was really uncomfortable from the trigger shot. I just felt really bloated and just very bloated and uncomfortable from that, but it was not unbearable. And then I waited 2 weeks, and this was right around Christmas, so I just knew that it wasn't going to work. At the time I was still teaching, so right before Christmas break, I went ahead and took a test one evening when I got home from work, and it was negative. I thought, okay, it didn't work. It's okay. I've seen negatives before. It didn't work this month. We'll try again. They gave us very good hope that it would work, but maybe not the first time. So went on with all my Christmas festivities, still a little bummed, still thinking, okay, I'm going to start any day. And Christmas Day rolls around, and I think, okay, I'm supposed to start today, and I still hadn't. And I just felt really weird. I didn't feel nauseous. I didn't feel anything specific other than very aware of my boobs. Aware that they were there, I guess. They didn't really hurt, just felt that they were there. And it was strange. It was a strange feeling. And that was really the only thing I can pinpoint. So I thought, I still haven't started. It's been exactly 14 days now since, we did the trigger shot and everything. So I went ahead, and the day after Christmas, that morning, I took a test before my husband got up, and it was positive. And I actually only had one pregnancy test and a whole bunch of ovulation tests left over from when I was doing that. So I used one of the ovulation kit tests as a pregnancy test, which I don't know if you know that you can do that. And sure enough, I got a little smiley face and a positive pregnancy test. We were in the middle of a blizzard, legit blizzard warnings. I'd never even heard of such a thing. I mean, for real, like a real blizzard. So I didn't have baby aspirin. I was supposed to start baby aspirin if I found out I was pregnant. And I didn't have it, but I had went ahead and refilled my Clomid because I thought, oh, if we have this blizzard, and then I need to start the Clomid whenever I start on day 3, I need to go ahead and get it. And I had that, but I wasn't optimistic enough, so I didn't have baby aspirin. Luckily, my mom had some, so she got that to me. I started taking it. So I was really thrilled that the Clomid worked and that I got pregnant again so quickly. But I was still terrified because I'd been pregnant before and it always ended in a miscarriage. So I was really waiting on those results from my blood work back before I could even be happy with just a positive pregnancy test, because that really meant nothing to me. So waited until I could get out of the blizzard, and went and got my blood work and at a local hospital, and they just faxed it to my RE, and so I waited for those results, and they came back good, and my progesterone was even really good, and they didn't even need to supplement that, so that was great. But I still wanted to hear back from the second result, because that's what I needed to make sure was doubling. And it seemed like waiting forever for those results, and finally got those back, and my numbers more than doubled. So I was thrilled. That was the first time I've ever had good HCG numbers doubling like they're supposed to. So I thought, okay, this has worked. I had that hope that this is it. This is working. So we scheduled our 6-week ultrasound, went in and got to see the heartbeat. Never had that happen before. And it was wonderful. And that really is when I started to believe it, that this is working for me. and scheduled our 9-week ultrasound after that, and then we graduated from our RE and went back to a regular OB, and I continued my pregnancy with Ellie, and it was wonderful. So I'm so glad that I ended up going to the RE and that Clomid worked for me the first try. We're hoping that with that success, we kind of know what works for me now. So when we decided that we did want to have another baby, I talked to my OB about it, and she said, I don't think you need to go back to the specialist right away. Just see, everything could be different now that you've had a baby. It may be fine. You may be totally fine. So we went with that, and I miscarried again, as you know from my other video. So that makes me now as a total of 3 miscarriages, 2 before my daughter and 1 after. And so then we went straight back to my RE, and I said, I'm not going to deal with my OB. I love her for all things like baby related, but getting me pregnant, I want to go back where I was comfortable. So we went back there, and he determined that, okay, you can go ahead and do the Clomid and Ovidrel again, and we'll give it a shot. You can try it 4 rounds. If it doesn't work, we'll go from there and we'll figure out a new plan. So we're hoping that that works. We're inching closer and closer to August, and as soon as I start my cycle in August, we should be able to begin, and I'm going to document all of that. So please subscribe so you can see the updates as I do. I'm going to try to do videos of what I'm feeling before my appointments. I'm going to try to do my trigger shot and any testing that hopefully I get to do. I'm going to try to do some live testing, and hopefully it works the first time like it did for my daughter. That would be very unlikely, but here's hoping. Again, I'm very new to YouTube. I'm new to sharing this journey, but I'm so glad that I've started to. So please, 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 if you have found me and you're going through anything similar, anything like this, I know there's people that have done way more extensive things than me, and there are people that are just getting into this. Please let me a comment. Tell me how you got here. Tell me what you're going through. I want to connect with people. That is why I'm here. So please comment. Please subscribe so you can see the updates, so I can know if I need to keep making these videos, if they're helpful, if they're not. I just really want to share in hopes that they are helpful for somebody. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please leave me a comment. Tell me what you're going through. And if you have any questions, also feel free to leave any questions in the comments about something I might not have been clear about that you might have a question on. And I hope to see you again soon in my next video. Bye!